Hi, my name is Matt Kosterman. As of 2026, I'm a 56-year-old white guy who lives in Chicago, Illinois. Over the past 10 years, I've transformed my life from one of chronic pain, depression, and financial struggles to one of freedom, contentment, and prosperity. I mean, sure, I've been known to get a little down at times, but hey, what human design projector isn't? I started this podcast to share with the world some of the amazing humans that have assisted me in my journey. In this season, I'm talking with more people who practice so-called alternative healing modalities. Basically, this is most things outside of what we know in America as the medical industrial complex. Shit is messed up around here, what with all the conflicting incentives. So my overall intention with the permission slip is really just to introduce people to other ways of relieving their suffering beyond taking a pill for the rest of their life. In this episode, Deborah Servetnick joins me for a wide-ranging conversation, as usual, on psychedelics, bodywork, vibration, and the radical idea that you can actually have what you want. We explore preparation versus integration, decriminalization versus legalization, healing through mushrooms, and why loving even the things we want to beat is the real doorway to changing your life. Please enjoy. Today, I am here with grateful Deb Servetnick. She is coming to us from the city of Baltimore, Maryland in the United States. And Deb is many things. She wears lots of cool masks. She's a life mastery coach, a psychedelic and dating coach, a body worker, breath worker, vibrational medicine woman, and the founder and CEO of a nonprofit called Serve Medicine. Did I get all that? Is there more?
Got it all by 1 o'clock to 1:30. By 3 o'clock, I'm going to be 10 more things.
You'll be 10 more things by 3?
I
Okay,
think
great.
we're good. Like Alice in Wonderland, you know.
Well, welcome, Deb. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
It's good to see you again. So today, I think we're going to talk about two of my favorite subjects, which are psychedelics and bodywork, two of the things that have been tremendously helpful in my own healing journey for the last, 57 years? Is that how long my healing journey's been? Almost. Next month, it'll be 57 years, but about 10 years. So, Deb, give us a little bit of your background. How did you get into all of these things? When was your first psychedelic experience?
Oh, that's an easy one. I think I was about 17 at a Grateful Dead show.
Of course.
In State College, Pennsylvania. That's the first time I did acid. And I remember going into the bathroom, and I had to go to the bathroom. I remember sitting on the toilet and going for the toilet paper and just scrolling it up, down, and scrolling it up, and scrolling it down, and scrolling it up, and thinking, how long have I been in here?
Uh-huh.
And, and just, I had no plans to come out, except then I remember there was really good music out there, but I could have been real happy just playing with that.
Just playing with the toilet paper? Yeah.
Yeah, just watching it. So, that was an early experience, and that kind of set the tone for everything, because as a Deadhead, we already know, I was really big on the history of the Grateful Dead and the pranksters and just the whole understanding of vibrational music and fast forward to where I am now, which is more than 50 years as a Deadhead, and knowing that, Bobby gets up there all the time and forgets the words, but that's not new. He's been doing that since he's been singing. So,
yeah.
It really comes in and it really goes, and we're bringing it in from another place, and it's up to us to translate that and make meaning of that.
For sure. Did you have what was your upbringing? How were things at home? What led you to drop acid at 17?
Well, I'll say this. This just was something I just learned about myself a couple of years ago, but I'm always learning about myself, and it's always an opportunity to see what has always been my path, or what is lying deeper for the next thing to move into repatterning. But the thing was, when I was a kid, my dad played a clarinet in a community orchestra. That was his hobby. And he had an amazing stereo, and he would just sit for hours in the living room with in his chair with the stereo. And if I wanted to spend time with my dad, which I did want to because my dad was a cool guy, I would sit there with him when he was listening to music, and he would hand me the album cover, and he'd say to me, this is the piece and this is who's playing it. And but then there's this other album where they play the same piece with a different orchestra with different people interpreting it. And I realized that set me up for the Grateful Dead, where we trade tapes for decades. We look at every show like it's the first time we ever heard it, because it is the first time we ever heard it that way. So I realized that it was my dad that got me into being a Deadhead. And
but through Benny Goodman.
Yeah, we love Benny Goodman, but
yeah, but I'm just saying, like, because he wasn't listening to the Dead.
Yeah, and he really loved music, and everybody in my house played an instrument. I played piano. Of course, at the time, I didn't know that I've been deaf in one ear since I was a little kid, and I didn't really figure that was going to kind of get in my way. I never expected it. And the good news, as I'm where I am in my life now, is as many times as it's gotten in my way, it's probably served me a whole lot more to not have to hear things I don't want to hear.
Yeah, sure.
On that side of me, and to be able to, like what just happened to me this summer at Grateful Dead 60. I was with a bunch of friends who were using psychedelics and wanted to talk when the show was on, and I just made sure they were on my left side so I could hear the music, and just nodded every couple of minutes, like, oh yeah, I get that, and it was
right. Yeah,
they're good. Yeah, they're all good. So.
My grandfather he needed hearing aids, and he didn't put them in, and it was just because he didn't want to listen to my grandmother most of the time.
It's a good out. And you know what? Here's another one. I've always lived in homes with snorers my whole life. My dad, my amazing beloved husband, and even my daughter, even my cat and my dog snored. So for me, and I probably snore too, who knows, but
Yeah.
good ear down and I'm out.
And you're out.
And I like it. The snoring makes me feel comfortable. Actually, makes me feel safe and comfortable. So I've never objected. If anybody out there wants to come over, get in bed with me to snore and put me just right into dream world, you're invited. Like that's what I.
Well, we should mention that your husband has crossed over, so there.
Yeah. Yeah, and my dog and my cat. So,
everybody.
Yes,
okay.
And my dad, of course, a long time ago. But
sure.
but that's the snoring. I think it really kind of goes with the humming. And lots of people talk about this as they age, right? You have like this, tinnitus, or like this humming that's happening that you have no control over. But for me, I really feel like it's me tuned into the universe. I like it. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it changes for me. There's a little squeal sometimes, and there's a hum. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I get it.
My friend Laura, her guides say, "Why do you?" When I ask what's going on, they say, "Why do you think anything's wrong?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a good home life. It was no significant traumas or.
No, my parents were really strict, which I've also just uncovered that one. In fact, just the other day, doing my vision for 2026, that, if you tell me no to something, if you tell me I can't do something, that for me says, oh, here comes a great dare, and I'm doing it.
And you're doing it.
Which explains, why I do what I do in my life. And, with medicine, it's always been something I've done for many years. And although I'm legally trained in a number of things, I have always operated in an underground world, and it has never at all made me feel nervous or insecure. Like, really not.
So what was the training then? Did you go conventional schooling, college, university, that route? Or?
Well, when I'm talking about, I did all that. I have a master's in education, but even beyond that, when I did the MAPS training.
Okay.
And I did that in 22. And I did that, and I really loved it. I went to Naropa, and I spent time at Red Feather Lakes, and that was really great too. Our experiential was there. So and then I went to Oregon because I thought I might want to do the Oregon training. And I did all the prerequisites for all that. Didn't finish the Oregon training because, well, I'm not going to say that. That's not true. Finished the Oregon training, didn't go further with the state certification because I have so many things I would like to see differently
Yeah.
in Oregon about the way practitioners can practice and the way the membership is that you have to pay the state and the way that practitioners are required to report each other. And
Right. I think I learned that from you in our call, or I saw it online. That yeah, you have to
yeah,
report somebody if you know that somebody's doing underground work.
yeah,
You're supposed to report them to the
yeah,
authorities.
and as a dedicated underground practitioner, I'm talking for since really the AIDS days, since the 80s,
Okay.
and really morphing into working with ketamine, which I have been legally trained by Pratty as part of the MAPS training. But I
And
really,
I should mention, sorry, just to cut you, mention for those who don't know, MAPS is the multidisciplinary applied psychedelic. No, tell me.
Association for Psychedelic Studies. Yeah,
Association for Psychedelics. So it's Rick Doblin's group. They were
yeah,
behind the.
and and they had what everyone thought was just like the perfect trajectory to working with MDMA legally, and then blindsided just a couple of years ago when those FDA
Well, that
comments.
whole yeah. I mean, we could go down that rabbit hole of not you.
Yeah,
Who
we
was
could.
the symposia? Right? Was
Yeah,
the foil
yeah,
the foe
yeah. And
that
I've seen symposia, you know, rip out their claws to Rick at Horizons conference,
yeah.
probably in 2018 or 2019. I forget when it was, but I watched them kind of, dig into him during um, uh, a very neutral question and answer
Hmm.
moment
Hmm.
on the stage, and they were really hell bent on getting their point across at that time.
Yeah,
So
it's really interesting, and I don't know how many. There aren't a ton of listeners, I think, of the podcast that are super psychedelic informed. So this is like a little bit of inside baseball in the psychedelic world. But I've been since I discovered psychedelics, I came to them late, only about 8 years ago in 2018. I got all my drinking out of the way very early in life. I did that from about age 12 to age 31, and then that was enough of that. But I used to be a proponent of legalization, and I've since moved to be a proponent of complete decriminalization. Get the government the fuck out of my business when it comes to
and
these medicines.
and I'm on the decrim side myself, and it's really interesting because in Maryland here we have a task force that's looking at how to have safe use of psychedelics, and in listening to someone who does really great work as part of a church with ayahuasca, his viewpoint is it has to be legalized because otherwise he can't bring his substance in legally
Oh,
without
interesting.
getting confiscated, and that decriminalization doesn't work for him. I
Uh,
hadn't seen his side of it until then when he said that to me, and that was eye opening.
but decriminalize, but what if it weren't Schedule One anymore? That wouldn't matter, right?
Probably, but it's the federal government is going to hold it up in customs, and he just won't have, he won't be able to get it. So his
Oh,
thing
interesting.
was, even for churches, it doesn't end that, that bureaucracy.
Yeah, I guess my bigger question would be: would decriminalization in the short to medium term lead to enough changes that then it would be descheduled, right?
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm a decrim person. I've been decrim with those decrim guys, with Larry and the other guys for a long time,
yeah,
and probably since 2017, 2018, and I've watched, Colorado shift. I've watched what we thought was going to be, you know, the rush to with Oregon, like to be the first to get this right, and what happened was Oregon was the first to get it wrong. So,
yeah.
and
They've had some significant challenges with
yeah,
out there with the legal framework for it.
well, it's for all the people out there who always want to be ahead of their time. it's a good reminder that when you're ahead of your time, you're really standing by yourself, and you're creating it at, you're building a plane as you're flying. Like you really are just doing it as you're doing it. And we're going to make mistakes, but that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, somebody's got to go first and
Yeah.
lead the way. But I was, I think another woman that I interviewed had also gone through the Oregon training, and was very surprised that most of the people going through the training had never ingested any psychedelic medicines.
Isn't that something?
And that's like,
I discovered that in Europa. I discovered that in my MAPS training, that I was one of 6 people that wasn't licensed. And I have a strong reputation for a number of years being in this work. And I had to write an essay telling them why I belonged in this class without some kind of licensure. And they accepted me. But I want to tell you what continually blew my mind through that training were all the physicians and social workers and psychologists that thought they wanted to do this work but had never experienced it themselves. And I can tell you, because I was a massage teacher for a long time. I taught for Empire Beauty School, and I ran their massage program for them in Philadelphia. And I can tell you, all the people that were certified in massage and decided it wasn't for them and just didn't do it. And again, I was a teacher. All the people that became teachers, and then when it became time to do your student teaching, if the student teaching came at the end, they decided that wasn't right for them. They didn't belong in the classroom. When the student teaching in different schools, it can come in a different place. So earlier is so much better, because you get to be in a classroom and see if this is really for you. But we're putting all these people in control of psychedelics that haven't even tripped.
Right. I mean, it's a bit, I mean, the closest analogy I have is like somebody trying to teach you how to fly a plane who's never flown a plane.
But yes, but their comeback is, you don't have to have cancer to be an oncologist.
Bullshit. I mean, it's that bullshit comeback.
Well, but here's my part B coming. Like, I like your part A. Here's my part B. Yeah, but when Roland Griffiths got a cancer diagnosis, suddenly listening to him became so different, because I listened to him when I was in the study, and he didn't sound like that.
It changed.
When I had cancer and I was on this side of the table, and he didn't have cancer and he was on that side of the table, he said different things.
But so the answer is not to get everybody to get cancer, though.
No, the answer is, I think
Tim Leary's message.
Yeah, the answer is, I think, just to stop thinking we can control something that's got a spiritual, it's so important spiritually and experientially, and every time we try to medicalize it, we're just arguing for our limitations, and that has never helped anyone, and it will never help anyone.
Yeah. I mean, arguing for your limitations and giving your power away to somebody else, because ultimately you're doing the healing on yourself.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the medicines themselves. What do you work with? Multiple different ones? What's your go-to, or it depends?
Well, with Serve Medicine, legally, I provide ketamine.
Okay.
Yeah. Apart from that, I work with mostly psilocybin, and then I'd say MDMA, and then DMT, and ketamine. 5-MeO?
Or NN?
Yeah, I don't do much of that. I prefer to really work with psilocybin. I think, and here's where I'm coming from with psilocybin. Psilocybin heals every cell of our body.
Yeah. And
for me, you might have a great result with something else, and you will, but psilocybin, and maybe it's just me, how I can feel it working through my body. And I was the same way when I was receiving chemo. I could feel it moving through my body. And, when you asked me how I got started in this, that was always how I've been. I've always talked to spirits. I've always had downloads from spirits. My cells are always talking to me, and I wish I had known earlier that I was always talking to my cells. Mm-hmm. I might have not had cancer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so for somebody who's a typical client who would come to you, what's the profile, and are you having to talk them in? Are you having to talk them into medicine, or they're ready?
I'll tell you who my client really has become, which I'm loving, and I'm expanding actually into this place right now. I'm creating 2 new coaching programs, but that's because what I'm seeing. And so my client, let me start earlier by saying my clients have always been people that have been really successful and never tripped. They had a job that was either too demanding, or they didn't grow up during the drug years, or
No.
they did grow up during the drug years, but they had a lot of messaging that it was a bad thing to do. So
That was me.
they just, so psychedelics weren't a part of their experience, and they wanted somebody to guide them. And I've always come to this knowing that, you didn't come for just a great 6 hours. You can have a great 6 hours, but that's not what you're here for. So if you're not living a life of joyful generosity and gratitude and appreciation, and just not being afraid to fail, which in my own experience took me a while to feel that comfortable with failing. And there I was, a teacher judging people and failing. I mean, that for me was one way to work through it. Thank goodness I got that way to work through it. I know a lot of people are just huge perfectionists. I see that in I'm a PQ coach. I see that in the PQ stuff I work with.
What is PQ?
Positive intelligence.
Okay.
And Shirzad Shamin came up with the judge and saboteurs, 9 saboteurs that run your show. You're either controlling it, or you're a high achiever, or all these things that point to the way you've made sense out of navigating the difficulties that pop up in your life. And
So sort of IFS adjacent, almost sounds internal family systems by a different name.
It's similar in a lot of ways. I know that, for me, when I started doing this work, I really wanted to help people, and I knew it was through bodywork. That was before I knew, any of this stuff, but I knew when I experienced bodywork, it was a huge transformation for me. And breath work was an even bigger transformation for me. And then I knew that I didn't even have to touch your body for me to get a certain response. So I studied Reiki and Chinese medicine and all kinds of good stuff like that. Went to acupuncture school, just did a number of things to just keep expanding. But what I really love is communicating this idea to people that if you're, we talk about the integration is really important, but if you're not into the preparation, you're not looking at how you look at everything, this 6 hours is just going to be like a little window. But what you really want is, you really want to be,
you want to open the garage door.
Yeah, you want to be in that Ferrari, going down the road, looking out that dashboard, and you see everything ahead of you.
So what does that look like? What does a typical engagement look like?
Well, I work with people for a minimum 3 months. Most of the people I work with are a year and 6 months. And where I'm going now, so this is where I was starting. My clients were usually people that were very successful and wanted to trip. They had never done it. They wanted to be safe. They would call me up, and I would say, okay, I'd love that idea, but I want to work with you for 3 months before we do anything. Yeah. And what would happen would be at the end of 3 months, they'd say, my life has really changed. What else can I do? And I'd say, well, we can work for another 3 months. And then I started just opening with 6 months. And I started opening with a year with a different kind of client, with a client that had a big dream. And,
before doing any medicine, 6 months, a year.
Yeah. Because you're creating with every thought. Mm-hmm. And for people that don't know that, and for people that think they're really good observers, but they don't apply any awareness to what they're observing. They don't really understand the meaning they're applying to what they're observing. It can be a dead end. It can be a trip down the rabbit hole. It can be not very enjoyable. It can be a lot of self-criticism. It can be a lot of people-pleasing. It just shows up in all those ways. So what I'm doing now is I'm working with people who have tripped. They've been to Peru. They've been through
the beyond. They've been to the beyond.
Yeah, and nothing's changed. And they have a real good 6 months, maybe. And then they're like back where they are because you know what? Their spouse is still the same. Their job is still the same. Their house is still the same. who's in charge in the government is still the same, and
Yeah.
and they can't turn away from that stuff. They don't know how to turn away from that stuff.
That's the wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, I love that one. You got that right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really where I'm working now is a combination of positive intelligence, working with your saboteurs, to work with just the universal laws, to come up with a way to navigate how you've been looking at it, not going down the rabbit hole, not why you've been looking at it like that, but just as these things pop up, you're not just playing whack-a-mole. Like when they pop up, you really have a recognition of, oh, there it is again. Thank you for showing up again, because you're reminding me that until I find a way to look at this in a different way, it's just gonna hold this frequency, and I can't go beyond this. And if I want to go beyond this and create other things in my life, I have to go beyond the frequency.
Yeah, I mean, I'm experiencing a bit of that right now around food, around sugar. It's been a bugaboo for years, and it's interesting to watch the cycles in thinking that I've got it, quote unquote, beat, which is not the right attitude, right? It's not the right approach.
Well, if I may help you with this,
tell me.
Here. Okay,
Yeah.
because I see it all the time with people that have cancer. Like kick cancer's ass, beat cancer.
Right.
And what I came out of cancer with was, you got to love cancer. You can't beat it. You got to love it. And it's the same thing with the sugar. You got to move into the love of how happy it's made you, whether it's the cookies, whether it's the holidays, whether it's
peanut M&M.
cotton candy. Yeah, yeah. And then you're moving into, but that's not who you are now.
Yeah, I mean, are you familiar with Bashar? Do you know the
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Bashar talks about the version of yourself already exists that's not that doesn't have the addiction.
And you're going to be that what would that person do right now when he walks by that bakery case?
Yeah.
That looks so good. What would you do with that person who knows how to navigate his life, who knows what feels good for him, who knows what doesn't feel good for him, who is in his highest self about, what would serve me right now where I am?
Well, the trouble is, it feels so good right in the now. I mean, that's the hook, right? Is it?
Well, yeah. It's you know what? It's so good because, that's, and I like to say this one too, when that shows up, you got to paint it red,
Elaborate.
And what's that?
Elaborate on that. Say more.
Okay, well, something I learned from my teacher, Mary Marcy. When I think about paint it red, what I've interpreted that to be, because what's really served me, because I'm like a really real visual person, is you're driving down the highway, you're on a country road, you see something red, you see another one a little further up, it's a big structure, it's red. You see another one, it's red. What is it every single time? It's the same thing every single time, right? It's a barn single time. Like,
I was going to say, are you in Sweden at this point?
I just think to myself, it's the same thing every single time. So you paint it red. It's like, okay, this time I'm gonna really notice this, because it keeps showing up for me. It's asking me to repattern this. It's every time it comes up, it's letting me know that it's not taking me where I want to go. It keeps bringing me back to this really stuck place where, either I'm the victim or you're the victim, or, I did something wrong. You did so. I'm the judge. You're the judge. This isn't working. And I have to get into a place that says, if I can have what I want, what does that look like right now? What would feel good? And what if it were easy?
Mm-hmm. What if it were easy?
Yeah. What if it were easy? And that's the one people always tell me that's the one that they've learned from me that served them the best. What would you love? And what if it were easy?
Mm.
And in my own experience, that's the one that served me too. That was the one that said, you mean it's really that simple? Mm-hmm. I don't have to struggle, and I don't have to blame myself, and I don't have to be regretful, and, and yeah, you don't.
You don't, right. For sure.
Yeah. Everything has had value. Everything has taken you where you are,
And especially, I mean, working with Alethea, who I had interviewed a couple months ago, we did a deep dive last year, and her encouragement was, don't resist it. Just look at it. You're learning something from it. It's coming up because what you resist persists.
Yeah.
And so at this point, I'm trusting that I'm learning something at a higher level.
Yeah. What if you could learn through joy instead of struggle? You can.
You can, yeah. And I have done and do. It's but it's the spiral. There's the spiral. It's
and it was a revelation.
Sure.
Like when you suddenly you accepted that and you were like, I've heard this before, but I don't know why I didn't believe it. Like it just seemed too easy.
Too easy, right? We're gonna do it the hard way.
Yeah. It's got to be like my worthiness has got to come from how difficult this has been.
Yes. Yeah, because you got to nose to the grindstone, pull up by the bootstraps, all of the old sayings, right? The old.
So I'm going to tell you something that I remembered, and I remember from time to time when I was in my 20s. I remember someone who I was in a relationship said to me, just like this, with the most horrible contempt I've ever heard, "You always get what you want." And I remember thinking, yeah, don't you? Doesn't everyone?
Well, we all do, right?
But I kind of took that and toned it down. This was in my 20s. I took it and toned it down. I don't want to be too big. I don't want people to think I have it so easy. I don't want it to look like, it wasn't, I didn't work hard enough to get this. And, hell, if that didn't give me cancer 20 years later after that, but it did, what can I tell you?
Do you know your human design type?
I forget.
Are you a manifester?
I forget.
You forget, okay.
I think I forget.
I just wonder because
I'm going to say yeah.
It sounds like you're at least a manifesting generator because you're very able to bring things into the 3D very quickly.
Yeah.
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 Us projectors struggle a little bit to connect with the energy and to figure. I'm still figuring out what all the knobs and dials do.
Yeah, I'm in that Oprah phase where now that I have all the stuff, like it's time to like unload it all. Like I'm really in that, and a lot of it comes through even, being in this house. I moved to Baltimore for my husband, and I have great friends here now. There's such great music here in Baltimore, especially if you're a Deadhead. Lots and lots of great music.
Okay.
And so that part has felt really good to me. But yeah, I could go anywhere. Where do I want to go? So for me, after I took a look at my husband's desk and said, it's looked like this for 3.5 years since he died. Like, how have I not done anything with this? Well, it might be time now. And I thought to myself, I really know I can't activate the next phase until I take care of the releasing phase. I can't. So it's time to release and move into something new. Which
is true for so many. I mean, that was my. I mean, I had to release a lot, and I'm always releasing. I mean, we're taking in and we're releasing, right? But in my own experience, the releasing tends to be more difficult. The letting go of the old ways of being, old ways of doing.
Well, what's one of the most recent challenges for you?
Again, I mean, it's letting go of sugar. It's really the big one, I would say.
What is it that you don't want from sugar?
What do I don't want for sugar? I mean, it's and I've gone round and round and round with it. And it's the what do I don't? I mean, I don't want the calories. I don't want there's not. I don't eat good sugar. I don't eat good. I start with the dark chocolate and say, oh, I'll go with dark, and then in a couple of weeks, it's the bags of peanut M&Ms. So I know it's not good for me, like for the body. It's not nutritious. It's very delicious. I've described this before, I think, on the show. It's like a hug. It's like a very subtle hug. It was.
Have you noticed what you're thinking of what's just happened before you reach for the sugar?
I'm sorry. Do I notice the thought?
Yeah, the thought that what precedes the reaching for the sugar?
A voice saying, "Don't."
what's the thought that moves you toward the sugar?
What is the thought that moves me toward the sugar? It's mostly a distraction.
Okay, and is there a particular time of day?
No, it doesn't matter.
Is there a particular is there a certain kind of interaction that takes place? Is there a particular people involved? Is there?
No, that's it. No, it's just sort of all. I mean, I can eat it all the time. I could eat. There's like no bottom, and there's no time of day. It could be first thing in the morning. It could be right before I go to bed. It could be in the middle of the day. Yeah, I mean, I need to slow it down for sure.
This would be the place to notice your thought, and for at least for the beginning of this, write it down so you can look at it and notice what you're noticing about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something that feels like, and the distraction is really interesting, because I've been looking at the way I've gotten distracted too, because I've allowed myself to get very distracted since my husband died. It was very healing in a lot of ways. So from the grief, it was a big distraction from the grief, which still kind of interesting because fortunately for me, I hear him, so I don't feel like he's missing.
Mm-hmm.
But there is this part where I still wonder, like, like what it, like, did it ever even really happen? Did I imagine the whole thing? It was like, like, you know what I mean? Like it was my whole life. Like, how did it just disappear? Like,
yeah, ephemeral.
Yeah, and it's and does anybody else have to witness this to make this true? Like, no, like it really did happen for me like that. So I think the sugar piece is something for you. You have this go-to. It looks like sugar. How does that keep you from what else you really want?
Yeah.
How does it come in when that thought says, let's take a walk into the kitchen, or like, but if you just, you have to, put it in the drawer, your desk drawer. That's what I do sometimes. Put it in the desk drawer. And, so you don't have to walk into the kitchen, but there's a thing that says if I could tell myself a story about what I'm doing here, what's the story I'm telling myself?
Uh-huh. Yeah. What is the story? That's good.
We're going to have a hotline. We're going to have like a red phone here. And you're going to have to, when you feel like that sugar thing, you have to
call Deb.
I'll be on the other end. You'll call up Deb. I'm going for the sugar. And I'll be like, what's going on in your thinking? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's good. I mean, I've done that in other areas. Probably haven't done that in this area.
And the thing about it is, there's a lot of messages that we get that are telling us that this will make us feel better in the moment. Whatever it is that we're choosing, that we know after a while is really like it's time to put that one away. Like it's, you served me, thanks, we're done.
Right. It's interesting, like with cannabis, with weed, because I didn't use any substances from. I mean, I smoked weed in 1995 before I got into the physical pain, and we brought it in medically in maybe 2017. My physician suggested it was legal here. And so I used it for that, but there's a hook in there for me. I mean, like drinking, giving up booze wasn't a problem. But what's interesting with the weed is it comes and goes, and it will. I don't know if other people experience this, but if I'm doing it too much, more than say once a week, I'll get high and it comes on, and the voice in the head's like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this?" It's interesting because it's one of those things that you would think would come on when you were sober, but instead it comes on when I'm high, and it's like, you don't need this. What the fuck? Stop. Just stop. So here I am trying to enjoy myself, and it's not like a lot. I'll take a 10 milligram. I'll have a few hits of, so it's not like I'm getting like super stoned out of my mind. The first time I do it, after maybe a week or 2 weeks of not having any music, sounds really good, right? We all know how it's really expand. I shouldn't say we all, but if you've gotten high before, for me, the music sounds beautiful. But then the second or third night of that, it's not so interesting anymore because the brain gets familiar. So I find it interesting in there that I can, that voice is there going like, why are you doing this?
I love psychedelic psychedelics and cannabis, because for me it helps me plug in, and I think for a lot of people it does that too. And if you find that it's not working like that for you, it to me it sounds kind of like going to a porn site when your partner's sitting in front of you. You know what I mean? Like, okay, and I'm not judging porn here.
I understand. Yeah, the
Yeah,
metaphor,
it's
right?
just sort of like, okay, so you have this thing that works for you sometimes that you like, and now you actually have this other thing that you say is like, wow, it's like my heart-centered connection. So if you have this heart-centered connection to something, what would that look like? If you're not getting it through cannabis, what does that look like?
I mean, ultimately, it's the heart center. It's the connection to oneself. Is what it's what we're all out here looking for.
And not just the connection, but the self-love. Like, it's not just like, okay, here I am. It's the here I am, and aren't I fabulous? Because I was created by source. Like, I was created just by the same thing that made the mountains and the trees and the ocean, and I came here to expand the universe. The universe is expanding through me.
Through me, right? Through my presence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think keeping that in mind is just such a it really takes the focus off of the substance into my experience being me, being resourced anyhow, just because I can't even make myself breathe. The universe is making me breathe. Like, I can't make myself do that.
Right.
The universe is doing it for me. The universe is doing all of this.
The heart's beating.
Yeah, with my involvement. And I get to say what I love because the universe is going to give it to me, because this is an attraction-based universe that is moving through vibration.
Right.
And if your vibration is here and what you want is here, well then, here's your journey.
Yeah, raise the vibration.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so let me start going into the vibrational thing. What's your experience in working with folks with the medicines, and how would you describe it vibrationally?
First of all, you're in an altered state, and it's important to remember that it's temporary. And for some people, it can, the scary part that I think most people experience, and I've seen it with my clients, is I had a client that said to me over and over again, "Am I dead? Am I dead? Did I die? Am I dead?" And I think that, yeah, the old part of you did die. Like, if you can let it, if you can give it permission, if you can't, but you have to replace it and that's the thing about breaking any kind of habit. You have to replace it with a different habit, or it's not going to change. So,
Because there's a vacuum there.
Yeah, so you have to replace it. So, for example, if I were going to quit eating sugar, what would I do instead? I might do like 10 sit-ups every single time. I don't know if I liked sit-ups. I have to be something I like and didn't feel punished with.
Right.
Or I might take a walk. I might take the dog for a walk. I might put the radio on and dance. Put like Sirius on, whatever you listen to, Spotify, and just dance. And, that's what I would do for, put on a song that I love. Same thing with a journey. When you're getting to that place that you're going into uncharted territory, you had to get there through the substance. Because you couldn't get there by yourself, because
the ego wouldn't allow it.
Yeah, and all your shoulds, and all my judges are really active.
Yeah. So what's your advice to people going? Because I get this a lot. I mean, I've sat guided, whatever you want to call it, with about 24 different sessions, mostly with MDMA, a little bit of psilocybin, for folks, and I get from a lot of people, I'm scared to do it. I'm scared to lose control.
Yeah.
Which I think is having gone round the bend and lost complete control. It's funny that you realize you're not actually in control anyway.
Yeah.
But what are your common, like, objections or?
Well, this control thing is really good because it's sort of, I just came off spending some time with someone who it feels very triggered by the news, and they watch it, and I mean, my thing is like, you know, what's the point about getting triggered by something you can't control?
Right.
Like if you can't control this outside thing, then it would be a whole lot better to practice a different response. And if that becomes a siren, I'm not going to hear it.
Speaking of not controlling anything.
And if you can, if something in that is like you really want to ask for what you want and what you deserve, and that's the universe is listening all the time. So you just keep asking for what it is you want and what it is you deserve. Now, here's another one. I have people that like to say to me, well, I have that. I only ask for what I need. And I'm like, oh, so you think needing something is better than wanting something? Yeah, that's the first place most people kind of go wah wah wah, and that's the place. So a journey, if you haven't prepared and looked at your understanding of what of like your thermostat, where you keep your thermostat for how much you can have,
Yeah.
how much it's safe to ask for, how much you deserve, like all of those things, then and you haven't asked the universe for help, knowing that the universe is like ready to give it to you, whatever it is you want. You got to know what you want.
Well, so, and, I mean, I think one of my own personal experience, one of the beautiful things about the medicine is a lot of times, in my case, I was not trained, as many people are, to ask for what you want. In fact, I was trained the opposite.
Of course.
Right. And then it's at a nervous system level. And the medicines have helped me to shift that and to move into more abundance. But it's not, it hasn't been through thinking about it as much, like it's sort of it's like it's like the nervous system has to get there and then the brain has to get there. And
you're onto something here. You're right. It's about the feeling,
right?
Because it's the feeling, then the thinking.
Yeah, you can't think your way out of it.
Well, you want to feel the joy, no matter what it is. You want to feel good now. You don't want to wait for something to happen for you to feel better. You want to know, it could be, it could be not so good out there. Like there is stuff that is happening that isn't, for none of us, looks very good.
Right.
But that understanding about what you can have in your relationship to the universe, that's eternal. Like, and you get to ask. I think about this all the time. There's 1,000 different people, 1,000 different ways. You get to decide.
You get to choose. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a corollary to one of my favorite, quotes from Gandhi is "Be the change you want to see in the world."
Yeah.
Turn off the goddamn TV.
Yeah.
You can't change that stuff. Not through watching TV.
Right. And this is, I think from what I've heard, because I listen to Pam Gregory. I really like her, and the astrologer Pam Gregory. And I'm not a big astrology person per se, because not because I don't believe in it, or just because I don't know the time I was born. I tried to find that out, and I could never find it for some reason.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I wrote to my state, did all this stuff, and it just, I kind of moved on from that.
Yeah.
So but I love to hear other people talk about what's coming, because I love to dream up what's coming in my own life. I love to think of what I want all the time. So one of the things I've heard her say, and my own feeling, is things are moving so quickly. That's the good news. That we are really at a tipping point. We have gotten there through the collective thinking. This has never been a them. They're doing this, and it's always been a we're doing this. And until we start thinking about this differently, we have this amazing opportunity of social media. Yet we tune into all the, support groups, all the complaining, all the, what's wrong, all the politics, and instead of really knowing that, I know how it is for me because I'm a deadhead. Makes it so easy. I have friends everywhere. I'm going out to California and I'm visiting people I go to music with. And isn't it amazing that they live in the most beautiful places ever? Yes, it is. For me, it just feels incredible. And
right.
and I know that I really love seeing them, and this is my natural way of being. So I know I'm that kind of person that always sees the seed of good. That's
Hmm.
just where I am. Um, it got a lot more difficult when I had cancer. I really had to I felt so terrible. The chemo had really affected me. I had lots of surgery. Thank God I had an amazing family. My daughter and my husband were great, and that was really helpful. But yeah, the stuff that I didn't like was still the same. I was still teaching and having to conform to these ideas that I didn't agree with in the classroom and things like that. And I really, in noticing how I felt about that stuff, it took me a longer time to get better. At one point, I felt so bad I would have been happy or dying. But the thing is,
Hmm.
I feel the difference so much. I feel so much gratitude in being alive. My life has expanded so much. Even since my husband died in the last 6 months, my life has been so incredibly amazing. And because because I would have kept asking him to do the hard stuff. You saw it this morning when I couldn't get on here on the computer in like my own you know resource technical way. I just never bothered to do it. My husband did it for me.
Uh-huh.
So this is a place I can grow. I know that I just learned a bunch of stuff from you this morning. I always feel like this is taking me the next place and the next place and the next place.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's all any of us want to do in a journey. We want to get to the next place, but first you got to love the place you're in.
Right.
And that's so important. You can run, but you can't hide. I'm like one of the probably last people in the world that just started loving Stranger Things.
Ah,
That's like my new show. I'm in I just finishing the first season, which should tell you a lot about where I'm at there. So yeah,
that's right.
I love it.
I never watched Game of Thrones, so
I never finished that one, but yeah.
okay.
But I love Stranger Things, and the thing is, it's not a horror. I heard it was a horror thing. First of all, I love Winona Ryder. How did I not know she's in this? Like it's 10 years now, and I didn't know that. But
Hmm.
which tells you I've been busy doing a lot of other things, and and it's not a horror show. It's a supernatural show. And for me, when she hung up all those lights and
Hmm.
she's hearing her son speak through the lights, I was like, yeah, right, of course.
Of course it
And
is. Yeah.
yeah, because that's how I do it with so many things. And that's how we all do it. But you got to tune in or you
Yeah.
don't hear it.
Yeah.
And a journey will take you out of your nice little box and move you into a place you can hear it. But not if you're still going like this. I'm too scared. I have to put down something I'm so familiar with. It's too hard to put it down. I'd rather just keep dragging it along,
Hmm.
just drag it along. And that's what
Because
happens.
it's familiar.
Yeah, it's familiar. There you go.
It's because it's familiar.
Familiar because I know because I know when I pass when I pass the McDonald's, I went too far on that street. I know I have to turn before the McDonald's, and then every time I go past that McDonald's, I'm like, oh, I missed our street.
Yeah.
But I got to do it that way every single time.
Every single time. So so you've worked with, so somebody comes in, you work with them for 3-6 months, a year before you do the medicine. How do you guys decide what medicine you're going to work with? Do you have sort of do you on-ramp with ketamine? Do you on-ramp with?
We can do a number of medicines. We don't always, we do more than one in a year for sure.
Okay.
We do more than one. And usually it's two or three. And I always like to have a mushroom journey in there. I always like to have a ketamine journey in there.
Hmm.
And I always like to have an MDMA journey.
Okay. Yeah.
They're all, it's like they're all good.
Yep.
They all have great benefits.
Yeah. But so no particular protocol for starting with X, Y, or Z. It's just sort of what depending on
No,
what you're working with.
I really like mushrooms, I think, because, mushrooms you can't overdose. They're really safe. Um,
Non-addictive.
yeah, although it's a longer trip than a ketamine journey. I mean, the thing about ketamine is it's just a few hours.
Right.
And MDMA can be long, and mushrooms can be long too. Well, LSD can be very long. So, but I have clients that came to me for headaches and things like that, and we use LSD, and
Okay.
I like that. I like microdosing LSD. I
Yeah.
like microdosing mushrooms.
Yeah.
And I love ayahuasca. I'm not a practitioner
Not an iOS
in
ghetto.
ayahuasca.
Curandera. No.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that for me
That's deep.
is, yeah, it needs to be provided by someone who's done lots of experiential work. And the first time I used ayahuasca, I was 30 years old.
Oh,
And
wow,
yeah, and it was in New Jersey. And
the Garden State.
proves, yeah, you don't have to go to South America to get the job done.
Yeah, no. I've done it here in Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I used it, I didn't even know. I wasn't even sure what it was. And when I went for my interview to get in the study at Hopkins when I had cancer, they asked me about my psychedelics, and I didn't want to appear drug seeking, and I had to tell them I used ayahuasca, and I had to write it down. I wasn't even sure how to spell it. And this was like 2011. I didn't know anyone else that had used ayahuasca at that point. And I remember sitting in the room with Mary Casamano and Roland, and both of them real straight faced. And I went, "Is it ayahuasca?" And they looked at me and went, "Maybe." Like, I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah, like, I don't know. And I remember just thinking like, "Oh, okay, I think it is." And but ayahuasca, every time I use it, it's been a really deep journey. And I don't have to use it for a pretty long time.
Yeah, long interval.
Oh yeah, but I'm probably about ready.
You're about to? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably about ready. But I did a couple of really important mushroom journeys, especially after my husband died, especially when I was doing my experiential in Oregon. That was an amazing journey with mushrooms, and I felt him absolutely in the room, and I felt him in my body, and I heard him tell me he'd already come back. He's already in a baby. Like,
he's back. Okay.
Yeah, part of him.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the thing about this more than one-dimensional existence. We're not just one person that gets reincarnated as this one thing.
Right.
It's like there's multiple, which is, I think, also why we're attracted to people that we're attracted to. There's pieces of them that are in us. There's pieces of them that are in people we've loved.
Yeah, it's far more complex than our little brains can even wrap around.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's also to some extent what I've found for myself is it becomes, because I'm a huge seeker and I've got bookshelves full of books, and at some point it becomes mental masturbation. It's just like I'm just sort of feeding in another version of the story that ultimately my soul knows.
Right. That was a perfect ending to that sentence, because we do already know this stuff. We're just
pretending we don't. We're pretending we don't.
Yeah. We're just remembering.
Yeah. When somebody's journeying, are you how do you handle body work? Are you doing touch?
Glad you asked me this, because I'm a body worker first.
Yeah.
And for me, body work is an essential piece of the journey. And if that means that your hand is here and my hand goes on top of it, that's what that means. You're always clothed, your clothes don't come off, or it's a non-sexual touch, but it is always movement through your energy, and things can really get stuck in our solar plexus, in our chest, and in our sacrum. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff, injuries, trauma, a lot of things that get stuck. Births. Women have their period for, I don't know how long, like 45 years or something. Right. And for the first 15 years, all we're thinking about is, I wish I didn't have this thing.
Yeah.
We have been so talked out of our experience and the information we get from these processes that, when I look back to how I handled my period, I can't even believe it. And I spoke about it at a women's psychedelic conference in Vancouver. And I was talking about that, we have to have our inner world and our outer world really connecting. And women have been given that gift of, giving birth and having our periods leading up to that. And for all the women that say, like, but I never ever want to have a baby, why am I stuck with this period thing? It's like you don't ever have to have a baby. You have been handed this incredible relationship with the tides, with the moon, with your intuition, and we've been told to take a Midol and just just keep going,
push through it.
Yeah, And, I'm a girl, so, you can't tell me I can't do this just because I get my period. And it's like, we did that one for a while.
Yeah.
But it really is just more swimming upstream, brought to us by men who are really good at swimming upstream. They've done it for so long. They're not happy. They want more love. They want better relationships.
Yeah.
We all do. And here we are in this place where it really starts with us. We really got to be much more loving with ourselves, and we have to seek that connection with our spiritual center. We are part of the universe. The universe is always with us. We're never doing any of this alone.
Yeah.
Ever.
Never. Yeah. Not separate.
Yeah.
Even though we think we are. That's the game.
I think I'm going to build like a giant menstrual hut,
Like of old.
Yeah, like a universal menstrual hut. So, so we can all sit there and, and just, sit around and actually eat that chocolate that you're not eating for like those 5 days straight. I think that was all the women in the menstrual hut, like a lot of good.
A lot of chocolate and listen to the Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever listen to have you heard of the band Mr. Blotto?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of my fraternity brothers. It's a guitar player.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. They're fun. Mark. Well, Deb, thanks so much. This has been great. A wide-ranging discussion. We kind of went all over the place, which I love. That's one of my favorite things. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me here. I think if I were going to leave anybody with anything, it really is you can have whatever you want. The first piece of that is really asking yourself what you would love and what if it were easy, and then getting in alignment with it. If you're not feeling good, you're not in alignment. You want to get yourself into a good feeling place. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
You've paid the price of not being in a good feeling place. That's what your life is right now. So, it doesn't take much. It just takes, if you look at that radio that had those two little knobs, it really is, tuning it in, a little less static, a little more of the song you wanted to hear. And now you're singing along and you're in the car and now all the green lights, you're getting all the green lights.
Right.
Yeah, it's smooth sailing and it feels great to be you.
And I would say, I would add to that, which was advice that I got from my financial advisor, Julie Murphy, who I interviewed months ago, was ask the universe for help, as you mentioned earlier. Like, you got to ask. She said to me, have you, and I was struggling mightily, have you asked? And I was like, well, what would I ask? She's like, you got to ask the universe. And I did, and 3 days later, the answer showed up.
It's awesome.
It showed up.
And to know you're a resource, and that, to know that what you think about yourself is far more important than what anybody else thinks about you. It's none of your business what anybody thinks
of you. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a tough one in our society, for sure. We've been very conditioned to think that it matters.
Yes. And we don't want to be selfish.
Right. I want to be selfish and
involved and, but the thing is, if you're not your best friend, then,
Who is?
Yeah, you got to be your best friend first.
Yeah. So I'll put contact and buy information it will be in the, wherever it is on the bottom, for those listening.
Thank you. And anybody who's into like the Grateful Dead kind of like realm of coaching, I have a specific coaching program for Deadheads.
For Deadheads. Oh, beautiful. Oh,
yeah, and
great.
It's because we really have heard the secret, like we listen for the secret and listen for the sound, and we do know that that it really is vibration. I mean, Mickey Hart plays that beam, and if you're still leaving and taking that bathroom break at that time, I'd like you to come back.
Come back. Yeah, it's funny. I was sort of grudgingly got into the Dead in college because I came from a very sort of wearing blue blazers and ties to school, and that Dead was for weirdos and that kind of thing. And I never. It wasn't until not that long. I've not been a big LSD user. It hasn't been my medicine. Perhaps I just haven't done enough, like a big enough dose, because it's not been fun. But I did listen to, and I never really cared for the long, drawn out Dead, where they're just wandering and meandering. And then I think I took some mushrooms and listened to it, and I was like, oh, now I get it. Oh, okay. Now it makes so much more sense.
That's good.
Because
That's good.
sober, it's not as interesting to me.
No,
It was
and you know what? Well, what's really cool about it is you can feel, at least I can feel, you know, I got to tell you, when I was at Grateful Dead 60, I was on the rail
mm,
like the 3 nights there, and I remember thinking like I feel like we are really shifting the vibration. I feel like the collective, we are really raising the vibration of the planet right now. All these people in Golden Gate Park, and I even made it onto the video, which if you ever
oh
go back
nice.
and yeah, and when I look at it, I think to myself, God, I look so blissful, and I really was,
And you were, yeah.
and I, and just being in good company with people, um, in that place where people are in the most enjoyment. I don't know any other place I can feel that good with so many people all at the same time and not know the person next to me and still feel that good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful thing. I wish I had gone to concerts when Jerry was still alive.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
anytime you want to go,
I'll call
I
you.
take my clients. Yeah,
Okay,
so
it'll
anybody
be
out there wants to be
therapy.
my client, yeah, we're
Yeah,
going to the Dead.
yeah.
So just know, yeah,
Amazing,
come with
amazing.
me anytime, Matt.
All right, all right, Deb. Thank you
Thank you.
so much, and have a great 2026.
Thank you, and you too. I know this is going to be a great year for everyone.
It will,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, really just line up and have it.
And let's go.
It's all yours.